my goals this year is to just get out in nature more. I used to do it pretty regularly, but sort of just fell out of the habit. Other than just making it a priority, the biggest barrier for me is the burden of organizing and gathering all my equipment, which is also super outdated and old. Step one for me was to build a camp kitchen that I can just grab and go. But I have some requirements. Number one, it has to be compact. Because let's be honest, 360 days a year it's going to be sitting in the garage. It needs to be flexible. That is, I should be able to use it outside on a table, in the cargo area facing out of the 4Runner, or even in the 4Runner with me. Also, I'm not looking to do any complicated woodworking. Or do I want to spend a lot of money? Which brings me to the core of this build, these IKEA tubs, because I am not interested in building drawers. You can probably do this with any kind of tubs, but I wanted two with the exact same footprint, one shallow, one deep. Once I had my drawers and my new stove stacked with some spacers, I could get an idea of about how big this main compartment needs to be. With this information, I could sketch out some plans and make a shopping list. Then head to Home Depot for some ply. Oh, are you kidding me? Turns out there was one board that was misshelved and it didn't have a label, so they actually charged me the price of chipboard and saved me about $8. To save even more money, I'm going to use this alley found plywood for some less visible parts of the build. The bottom is one of those parts, and I just want to put my tubs there and kind of get an idea of how I want to cut this thing up. Because I'm a not great woodworker, I was going to avoid doing any kind of rabbets or any fancy joins, but this panel actually has one already in it, so why not use it? Then I went ahead and made my measurements and cuts for the bottom and the back. And then did a little test fit. We want this box to be pretty snug because these tubs are going to be on rails. Because I like to make my life difficult, I wanted to add a divider for a cool little pantry that'll be on the other side. Again, using the scrap lumber. With the bottom, the back, and the divider all cut, I gave them all a good sanding because they were in pretty rough shape. Then I used the good lumber to make the front. I then divided it so that the right 6 inches or so would be the front of the pantry that swings out. Of course, I made the grain line up because I'm not a savage. I fought with the clamps and the angles and everything for about 20 minutes and the glue before I decided just to throw a brace on there. Since my cuts and our glue are complete garbage, I went ahead and drove some tacks in there too where the back and the bottom meet. And more braces. Once the back, the bottom, and the divider were together, I put on the front. Next, I cut the pieces for the pantry side, its top, and the flip lid that the stove is going to be under. Then, though you can't see it, I attached the face for the stove compartment. Again, with more braces. I was going to pocket hole everything, but I kept driving holes all the way through and I gave up. Alright, 3 hours today and it's finally starting to look like something. We have the outer structure complete. So I think next I'm going to put the lid on. Put the hinge on there. So the idea is it'll be able to swing all the way across. Pantry area. I have all the pieces cut for the outer part of that right here. And then figure out exactly how I want that to function. Whether it's just going to be your basic swing out or something fancy like a pull and swivel. It would very much satisfy my need to have it centered. But we shall see. Then it was back to Home Depot for more braces and 1/4 inch plywood for the stove shelf and any interior bits. Now I could attach the pantry top, which is going to remain in place. The top, the back, and the bottom, and just the front and the outside are the mobile parts. With the pantry top in place and screwed down, now I could put the hinge on for the stove compartment. I just cut it to length with the angle grinder and then used a file or a rasp to get any of the rough spots off. I didn't attach it yet because I want to polyurethane first. And I went ahead and cut the stove shelf out of the 1/4-inch plywood. It's a little snug, but I already put the saw away. Then I sanded everything down and gave it a good coat of polyurethane. Turns out the reason the stove shelf was so snug is that the screws I was using had these round heads that were constantly getting in the way. I swapped some out for some flathead ones I had, but they were too long. If I have any regret for this project, it's the wish I had gotten a box of flathead 1/2-inch tiny screws from the beginning. After swapping out some screws and doing a little trimming, the stove shelf now fits perfectly. I gave up my idea for the fancy slide and swivel pantry and just decided to make my life easy and throw a hinge on it. Definitely need to add a handle. That's it for the framework. Next time I'll show you the inside of the pantry, the storage, the hardware, the bells and whistles, and all the other cool stuff I throw in there.